One day, I went over to Peter's house one evening, and he said that he had a surprise for me. So, the surprise was a movie called Love, Simon. If you have not seen the movie, one, I would highly recommend it. And so, to not ruin the plot for anybody or to not ruin the movie for anyone, I'll give a brief summary of the plot. Love, Simon is a Gen Z high school gay romance. I think it was on Netflix. I'm not sure. But it is a super, super, super cute story about this guy who's like closeted, and he falls in love with this anonymous person who's like who they interact over in Messenger online. And then at the end of the movie, it reveals who this person is, and everybody lives happily ever after. The protagonist, or the main couple, so the protagonist and then the person who has been messaging him anonymously, are a biracial, it's a mixed race gay couple. Not unlike Peter and myself. I hate this memory so much, and I still need to go back and watch Love, Simon just so that I can have a good memory from this movie. But I don't know what precipitated this argument to begin with, but I think it began talking about coming out. So I did not come out until I was 24. I grew up in a very religious family. I dated women. I was really bi for some time. I didn't come to full terms with my sexuality until I was 24, and that's when I publicly came out. Like I said, I also was raised in a very conservative Protestant family, you'll see why I say it that way. Peter, on the other hand, apparently did not have to come out. He was raised in a very accepting household, and because his parents were divorced, it was all women. So I would imagine it would be more accepting than my household, where it was the exact opposite. Far majority men and only two women. Peter's opinion, or Peter's idea was that like coming out was like kind of old fashioned, and it wasn't something that was really necessary. Obviously, I vehemently disagreed, and I believe that that's what started the argument. I'm not sure, but the argument then shifted over into the differences between Catholicism and Christianity. Remember I said Protestant? So, I understand that Catholicism and Protestantism fall under the same umbrella as Christianity. Each of my parents were Catholic before they converted to Christian or Protestant and then raised us. Peter was trying to make the argument that there is no difference, even though one sees a priest, one goes to mass, one sees a pastor, one goes to church. Yes, there is, in fact, a difference. And you know how the argument was settled? Peter basically told me to shut up and agree with him, or get out, or I could leave. And when he said that, this was about halfway through the movie, I completely shut down. I did not say anything else. This should have been the end of the relationship. Like, Peter had shown that he has an anger problem, has already shown multiple times that he does not know how to diffuse a situation. He only knows how to add gasoline onto it, because when he argues, it's to win. It's not to resolve anything. Remember that. Even though it makes me look and sound incredibly fucking stupid, because why was I involved with this really evil man for as long as I was? It's actually pretty embarrassing. But anyway, I shut down and we go to sleep for the night, and I can't fall asleep. You're not going to treat me this way. I'm getting ready to take on a large amount of stress voluntarily with the announcement that I'm getting ready to make. I don't need this shit in my life. Listen, you might be my boyfriend and I might love you, but I have a much greater obligation to my ancestors, to my reputation, to my family name, and to the things that I need to do on this planet in this life before I leave this earth. And I'll be damned if anybody's gonna get in the way with that. I don't care if I am romantically involved with you. So I'm sitting there tossing and turning because, again, I can't fall asleep. I really can't. And I finally decided that was it. I was gonna call a break because I did still, I know, I did still want this to work. And so for me, a break was leaving that possibility open. But also putting my foot down because the disrespect was just unbelievable at this point. So, and also let me just, like, the comfortability with being that disrespectful, just, again, the dots only connect when you look backwards. But we had discussed a couple times taking a break, and Peter's opinion, my understanding of what we had discussed was that taking a break puts kind of like an unerasable scar on your relationship, kind of like the analogy when you crack the mirror, the crack's always there, right? Even if you fix it, but this crack is still there. So in retrospect, I think that Peter kind of saw a break as a breakup anyway, because I wholeheartedly believe, and his actions show, that after this break, he did not care as much about the relationship. I'll say more about that later. But it was about maybe 4:35. I get up early anyway, but that was like when I figured it would be acceptable to get up and start packing my things. And I wasn't going to leave without saying something, but I was going to wait until the last opportunity to say something and then get the fuck out of there. So he beat me to it. He kind of got out, he kind of raised his head out of bed, and he didn't ask if I was still upset. He kind of stated it. He kind of said, like, he kind of stated, like, still upset, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't, it was like that. It wasn't questioned. And I told him, I said, Peter, I'm gonna stay away for a few days. I'm gonna stay away for some time. And he leaps out of bed and puts himself between me and the door and, like, starts, saying, no, only wearing boxers. And I did not listen. He even, like, apologized for being a cunt, in his own words. And I had already made up my mind. And I left him there. And a couple hours later, I got a text saying how sorry he was and how he prayed that we could come back together one day, and that he was so sorry he pushed me away. I replayed that scene in my head over and over and over, and I tortured myself because I kept asking, what if I had given him one more chance? I know, it sounds so stupid, but, like, I tortured myself. I did not forgive myself for over a year. And it feels, again, but for the way he ended things, like, never mind. I won't, I'll save that. But I'm saying, like, this was the biggest display of emotion that he showed in our relationship. And it took months of forgiving myself because I couldn't get over what if I had just given him one more chance.